chandeliers glow. We'll sip our worries away, nice and slow. Your laughter ripples like sweet warm wine. In this jazzy sultry space you're mine. The saxophone croons a velvet tune, while melodies dance beneath the moon. We'll toast to moments both grand and small, in this hazy, lazy, jazz-touched hall. Let's sit together in the mellow night. We'll drink to love till the morning light. Every glass we raise a promise true. Here's to the magic in a drink with you. Your eyes, they sparkle with every click. Sweet rendezvous over a simple drink. We'll share our secrets in whispers low, just you and me where the jazz flows slow. The world outside fades into the mist, but here it's our own dreamy tryst. With each sip our worries drift away. Let's stay together till the break of day. So let's sit together in the mellow night. We'll drink to love till the morning light. Every glass we raise a promise true. Here's to the magic in a drink with you.
The following live stream has been approved for appropriate audiences. It may contain occasional strong language and may not be suitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer inebriation is advised, though not mandatory.
Before DC and Marvel started their cinematic universes, the dramas of daytime TV had whole spiderwebs of shared worlds and storylines. We tend to be dismissive of the normies when it comes to our complex, long-historied franchises, but your moms were able to follow crossovers and continuities far more complex than anything you're used to today. We're going to dig into it with special guest subject matter expert Sir Torrhen Clegane. So top off your glasses, settle in, and get comfortable as we again revisit those fabulous daytime shows right now.
Last Call is streamed before a live audience.
Salute and welcome. Hope you guys are already off to a wonderful weekend. Happy Friday to you all. This is where we come together and decompress from a brutal week. And I know we have all had a very, very brutal week. We've lost some celebrities we really like. We've lost loved ones. Like I said, we lost someone from the community. It has not been the best of weeks, but we have each other and we have booze. So welcome to the weekend. I'm going to start by bringing in my panel of wonderful, wonderful guests. Before I start saying hi to each and every single one of you, I appreciate you all so much. Starting with my lovely wife, Netter of Netter's Network. How you doing, my dear? And what are you sipping on, as if I didn't already know?
Well, it kind of looks like yours. I'm actually doing really well. I had my mid-year review, which is something new they did this year.
Yeah.
And it went really great. So,
awesome.
But then again, I have an amazing manager, so.
See, it's great to hear that someone's had a good work week. I work for a horrible taskmaster. This just rotten, pain in the ass, old, fat, bald Italian guy. He's rough to work for, but what can you do?
That's no way to describe me.
I was talking about me, you goofball. Help me out here, my designated driver. Agent Boomer, how you doing? What you sipping on, my friend?
Doing all right. I got myself a lemonade from
Got
McDonald's.
yourself a lemonade. Oh, from McDonald's. Well, okay.
No, it's got lemon bits and everything. It's like the craft lemonade. You trust it?
I don't trust anything from fast food anymore, to be honest
Yeah, but
with
they're
you.
giving out those Happy Meal toys now. Those special.
Are they
ones
good
that-
ones? Oh, the ones that are like
Yeah,
nostalgia.
There's
McDonald's
been this
nostalgia.
whole thing online about them. There's like people trading them.
I'm
Kids,
sure.
like even little
No
kids
doubt.
are getting in on the stuff. You know, they want this. They want them all. So yeah, it's interesting.
Well, good for McDonald's. I'm glad to hear that. And I'm glad that the fans are getting the things they want. Like I
And-
said, when I saw the picture that we shared on Geeky Geezers, I was like, oh, I remember that, and I remember that, and I remember that. Things that my brother had as a kid
yeah?
from McDonald's. But I was like, I don't need to go and collect these things. I don't have room for a bunch more crap in the house. Honestly. And of course, we have our very, very special subject matter expert, Sir Torrhen Clegane. How are you doing, sir, and what are you sipping on?
Oh, I'm doing all right. I just had some water a little bit ago, and
It's
I'm in the
absolutely fair.
last days of my vacation.
Oh, last days of your vacation. Well, wonderful. Wonderful. It's time for that summer sizzle. How many of you guys know that song?
I do.
Netter does. Yep. Those of you listening to Vacation Radio by WDW Pro, you know that song. Although, unfortunately, you probably associate it with that Peepaw energy. That's maybe not the best of branding. Anyway, we will get into the show just as soon as we say hi to all of you wonderful people. Because, be honest, you guys make the show. Starting with Big Al of Big Al Presents, who says, like olives in a martini glass, these are the Canarble Wagons of our lives. I got that reference. Have a great show, my friends. Yes, thank you so much, Big Al. Let's see if adding a chat comment will make YouTube leave my like. Yeah, I've been hearing from you guys that there's some sort of wonkiness about if you leave a thumbs up, it doesn't let you leave a chat, and if you leave a chat, you can't leave a thumbs up. Guys, do whatever you can to do the engagement, because it really, really makes a difference.
That seemed to have been on my channel. Both you, Sarji, and Ellen Green said that they were able to leave a comment, but they weren't able to thumbs up. So I wanted to know if that had been resolved, because at that time I saw 4 thumbs, and it's like, okay, is your site now showing that you thumbs me? Well, now I got 6 thumbs.
And Lynn says this is going to be interesting. I know you've been looking forward to this topic. It's going to be interesting. You're absolutely right. And Connie Cleary, the bird woman of YouTube. Welcome, Connie. So good to see you. Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about. Welcome, by the way, Usarn G says, I left the comment first, and yet it wasn't allowed to give a thumbs up. Well, what can you do? Yeah, I'll try again later. That's what I was going to suggest. If you're willing to take the time to try and do that, see what happens. Even I guess. I don't know. And then, of course, Netter of Nerds Network, who's sitting right across from me, calling me the love of her life. I love you, sweetie. I hope you enjoy the daiquiri, because you were the inspiration for the strawberry daiquiri.
It's really yum. Okay, speaking of those daiquiri, tell them exactly how you made this one.
Okay. So if you check out my liquid lunch from today, the recipe that I started with is listed in the description. But in the instructions, of course, it says what I think should go without saying. Taste it, decide if you like it, add a little more or less of whatever. So I added all the frozen strawberries. and then I added the I don't know what you call it, the strawberry syrup that I made from strawberries. You take fresh strawberries and you leave them overnight, literally packed in sugar. You just fill up a container with sugar, put all the strawberries into it, and it just draws all the water out of them, and you're left with strawberry husks, I suppose they are, and you can use them for a mash or a marmalade or whatever. But what you're left with is this really thick strawberry syrup, pure strawberry syrup, and it's as long as you treat it right, it'll stay shelf stable pretty much indefinitely. So I made a whole bunch of that. So instead of using simple syrup, I used that strawberry syrup, a little bit of ice, just a little bit of ice, and maybe a little more lime juice than I should have. So I just added some more rum and a little bit more strawberry.
Specifically white rum.
Yeah, white rum.
However, we discovered, because at first we couldn't find the white rum, so we were going to use banana rum, which also would have gone really well with this.
So next time I might try a banana rum, but anyway, so I got the ratios just right based on taste. I can't tell you exactly what that is. You would have to decide for yourself. But I think it turned out good, and Netter likes it, and I'm already starting to feel a little tipsy, which is the sign of a perfectly successful daiquiri, in my opinion. And you don't have that icky chemical taste that you get with all the daiquiri mixes. I refuse to ever use those ever again. Told that story before. Suzanne, hello, Netter dear. I can't stay, hon. Too sick, but wanted to say hi and hope you have a great stream, Suzanne. We hope you feel so much better. We really do. Thank you for stopping by.
You take care of yourself.
Let's see. JPRPH1, channel member dropping the Canarble Wagon, the fedora, the channel logo, the brown mumbler. He says, howdy. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you. The tired midnight blogger, Curtis Selby. Salute, my friend. This guy here. This guy here. Good evening, everyone. I'm in two places at once. Mark Daly. Greetings from the Panhandle of Florida, a.k.a. South Georgia. Welcome, my friend. Jesse Guajardo. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you. Salute to Deleted Scenes. Good to see you, my friend. Who says like, share, subscribe, become a member. Yes, please do that. Do all the things, please. It really makes a difference. And Geek Flag with Nate Knows coming in with a $2 super chat to say, hi everyone, let's chill out with Last Call. That is the goal, my friend. And since you are the first super chat of the night, I want to point to the goal that I have set. Really, I don't want it to seem like I'm, begging for money. I mean, I suppose I am. This is how I'm trying to make a living. But more importantly, I thought I would use this as a gauge to see what the level of interest was. We did our karaoke stream last week, and it seemed to be relatively successful in that I had a lot of people in the chat. A lot of people had previously, donated to for the previous goal to get the karaoke stream up there. But not a lot of people seem to want to sing. And that's fine if you're just entertained by those of us in the panel just singing. That's perfectly fine. So that's why I thought maybe I would do another poll. Put your money where your mouth is. If you would like to do another karaoke stream in August, any size, contribution to the channel, any super chat, from, I don't know. I said from, any dollar value. So if we can get 30 super chats, I'll I'll do another karaoke stream. If not, then I'm thinking maybe you guys, you didn't really enjoy the karaoke, and we don't do that. But again, check out the goal, because not only is it, and this was her decision, not mine. I did not coerce her. She volunteered. I just committed her to it. Not only will we have a karaoke stream in August, but Netter said she would sing this time. So you want to hear Netter sing, you might want to make sure that we get to that goal. So. Jesse Guajardo, Usarn G, I said hi to you guys already. Enigma Severus says, oh my goodness, we're doing this thing. Yes. Are you surprised that we're going to be talking about daytime dramas? We've done it before. We may even do it again. We'll see.
Since I dribbled on me, I figured you might need a straw.
I don't know.
Yellow or pink?
I'll take pink. I'm secure enough in my manliness to use a pink straw.
Yeah, I dribbled all down the front of my shirt, so I'm like, yeah.
You know what? That actually works.
Of course it does.
Okay, so Suzanne says, hello, Troy. Can't stay. I'm not well today, but wanted to say hello and have a great stream. Yes. Again, I hope you feel better, Suzanne. You can always come back for the rewatch if you're so inclined and you have some free time and you're interested. You can certainly do that. Troy, I was enjoying the 30th anniversary of Gundam Wing with the new anniversary promo. Is this something that you know about, Age of Boomer?
Oh, boy, could I talk about Gundam Wing. I will check out that anniversary promo. Is it like the original one they had on Toonami, but they made it up to date? Gundam Wing, I'll just bring it short. It's about a war in the future between Earth colonies and the Earth Federation. About how these colonies are wanting to break off from Earth and a war ensues. That's usually how Gundam series take. And I don't want to get any more into it. It'll take too long of a stream to talk about it. But it's political intrigue, war. It's very interesting. Space battles, and also battles on Earth and on the colonies, too. Yes.
So, Geek Flag says, I'm sipping on a Rock Creek peach soda, which sounds really yummy, with an 1812 bourbon whiskey chaser. I've had 1812 bourbon. That's some good stuff. Good on you, mate. Good on you. Robert's Infinite Realm. Hello, Boomer, Troy, and Netter. Wild, sad, and happy weekend. Yes, absolutely. Or week, absolutely. Yes, you are not just whistling Dixie. Mark Daly says, hello, Netter, looking good as always. I have to concur.
Merci.
FKHC 2005, whom we lovingly refer to as Tim, says, I'm going to Paris next spring, maybe. I will be seeing the parasites.
What? Parisians.
He quotes the Three
It was a
Stooges.
joke, Boomer.
I see. All right.
Calmate. I can't get over the 30th anniversary of Gundam Wing and Endless Waltz. There you go.
Yes. It's. I'm sure it still holds up very well. But I'll chat about that some other time. That'll be interesting.
Okay, I'm guessing this is a tune that I should know, and it's not ringing any bells. I'm doing all right, getting good grades. My father's so bright, I gotta wear shades. Oh, my future's so
right. I gotta wear yeah. The name of the band is like right in the tip of my brain.
Yeah, well, I can't see your brain, so I can't read it.
Male singer. Give me a second.
So far, I haven't had any problems. I thumbs up everyone. Thank you so much, Deleted Scenes. Yeah, that's the other thing.
Huey Lewis in the News.
Huey Lewis in the News. There you go. I didn't know that one. Is that off of the sports album?
I don't know if there's a sports album. Hold on.
Yeah, that's the thing about YouTube. They're not consistent, which is a problem. Andrea Black. I see 7 thumbs up. Well, thank you so much for being that 7th thumbs up, Andrea Black. We certainly appreciate that. You encourage us so much. Deleted Scenes says hashtag Netter Sings for $5. Thank you so much, Deleted Scenes. And we are at 2 out of 30, what are they called? Super Chats. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and become a member, says Geek Flag. Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you.
I should start keeping track for
Troy,
you.
it's called a strawberry slurry. Yeah, it kind of is. You're kind of right. When I was talking about the history of the daiquiri today, looking at the recipe for the original daiquiri, I was thinking, I think I want to try that sometime. It's a very different kind of drink. I'm not one for public singing, but I tried to get in, but the link wouldn't open for me. I'm thinking it was an internet problem on my end. Well, keep in mind, too, there was the whole, we went over to Rumble, and then in Rumble, that's where I put up the link to come join me in the studio. At least I think that's where I put the link. I actually don't remember how I did it now, but the important point is, we're going to be doing it on Rumble. So we'll start out on YouTube, then go over to Rumble, follow the link in the description, and then, yeah, so that's the plan on how to do it.
You can't do karaoke on YouTube. You'll get copyright strikes and the stream will come down. And
Mark Daly has a great insight. He says the hardest part of karaoke is balancing the buzz. Need to be drunk enough to do it, but not so drunk you can't get the words right. That's fair. That is absolutely fair. I dig that. That was the situation the first time I went to karaoke with that lady sitting across from me. She's the one that one of our first dates was we went to karaoke, and I had to get a couple drinks in me before I'd get up there and sing. And she knew what she was doing when she encouraged me. Said, "Oh, you sounded great." I probably sounded like crap, but she encouraged me. You sounded great, so I kept doing it. You know. DJ Ronnie G, channel member, thank you so much for being here. He says, good evening, and welcome to you, my friend. Let's see. Robert's Infinite Realm says, there's a polecat, a skunk, outside my house. Didn't know till I stepped on the porch. That smell. Yeah, that's not fun. Wasn't sure if it was a joke or autocorrect. Fair enough. Bear with me, folks. I don't want to miss any of the comments. The name of the song is I Gotta Wear Shades.
yeah,
They use for the theme song from the sitcom Head of the Class. I never watched that show. That's why I don't know it.
I would have let you hear a snippet, but I didn't want you to get struck.
Mm-hmm. Probably right. Great to watch if you've seen the OG UC Timeline series. There you go. And the Horror King guest on Netter's Network last Thursday. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you. And that gets us all caught up. And so now we are going to move into our presentation for the night, which is, of course, the shared universe of daytime dramas, otherwise known as soaps. Take it away, Sir Torrhen Clegane.
Well, so let me see. I'm trying to remember if
He's got to look at his notes. There you go.
Yeah,
And we do start with in memoriams too.
Right.
Yeah, that's. But you know, they I'm trying to remember how I did this in my outline.
Well, you didn't have the in memoriams on the outline, so
Yeah, we could start with those and then jump right into the other rest of it.
Yep.
So, yeah. Okay,
So in memoriam.
Yeah.
So Eileen Fulton, who was the one of the great vixens of daytime.
Yep.
She played Grimaldi on As the World Turns for 50
I can't
years.
believe 91. That's just boggling my mind.
Yeah. She was married to the show's original protagonist, Bob Hughes, at the very beginning. And for more than 30 years, she was a major character in the story. In fact, there's this very humorous story. In the late 60s, her on-screen son, Tom Hughes, was aged up so that his character could go to Vietnam. But she thought, okay, I'm 30. I think at the time she was 36, 37 years old. No, if they age him up, they're going to turn me into a grandma. And I've seen what happens to characters that have played my played my rival when they made her a grandmother. They just kind of like took her out of the running of like glamorous, fast-paced storylines. And she's like, nah, not going to happen. So she had this whole storyline. So she had this thing written into her contract where they couldn't make her a grandmother until she was like at a reasonable age.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was in '86, Tom by this point is like in his 30s, so she'd be in her 50s. His wife, Margot, this was a very popular pairing on the show. She gets pregnant, and she ended up miscarrying.
Oh gosh!
So fans knew about it was called the Granny Clause.
Mm-hmm.
So they knew about it, and so they started threatening her.
Wow.
And I was telling my mother about this, and I said, some people, and I looked right at her and said, some people name their kids after soap opera characters.
Yeah.
And some of them threatened the actors. But yes, she was on the show until the very last episode. So she was quite the, but she really cut a legacy out on that. It was sad to know that she had passed. So
before we go on, thank you, Darth Plato, for the $2 super chat.
And for returning as a member.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
General Hospital. This one was not one that I watched that often. But
I did.
I like that vest.
Yeah.
It looks like he coined the term, I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. That was him.
He was the first actor to do that. The next one was Peter Bergman.
Yep.
When he played Cliff Warner on All My Children.
Which it's funny because I was just saying I didn't really watch General Hospital. This is where I know him from, is from that commercial.
Yeah. So I was about to say, so Boomers and Gen Xers will remember him as that. But he was Rick Weber. And I did read about that.
Yep.
So but I'm trying to remember his big contribution to the show was was that on the show, and the next person that is going to be an in memoriam of Denise Alexander, they were the on-screen parents of Laura, of Luke and Laura.
Yep.
And Rick Weber brought to television a young Richard Dean Anderson.
Oh.
His on-screen brother was Jeff Weber, who was played by a young MacGyver, or Jack O'Neill, depending on when he first came into your life. That was one of his other contributions, and those are characters that still, like, Laura's still on the show. Jeff Weber's daughter Elizabeth is still on the show, and next is Denise Alexander, Leslie Weber.
I always thought she was so pretty. I had a little bit of a crush on her as a kid.
Yeah, she was the Susan Hunter on Days of Our Lives before she left to join the cast of General Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think is actually kind of fascinating is she was one of the longer tenured actors on there, but one of the actresses who was on the original series, like the original show, like the very first episode, is still alive, and she's a decade older. Rachel Ames, who played Audrey. But yeah, but hearing about her passing was also another sad one. She was, again, a great actress and a great character. And so, next up, there, the two of them.
Yeah.
And now, as stated when we last left off, at our last stream, I said that the John Black story had not been finished. And it's been concluded as of June 2nd. So...
just the one pick.
Yep.
So, in order to explain what happened, I kind of have to scale back to the 50th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
So, Peter Reckell, the actor that played Bo Brady for almost 30 years at this point, he came back to the show after a 3-year absence and decided that the character was going to be like the big death for the 50th anniversary. And I think a lot of this had to do with him wanting to spend more time with his wife and his young daughter, and so Bo passes away with his wife and his family around him, and years go by, and he makes guest appearances every now and then as a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
And so what ends up happening is that in 2022, I believe it was, the spin-off series Beyond Salem brought back a storyline that was from the 80s, the Three Prisms storyline, which I did not talk about in the last stream, but because I don't know the whole context of it.
Right.
But what it was supposed to do was it was supposed to like cure Stefanova's brain tumor, but what his daughter Megan, who's a ex of Bo, did was she used it to bring him back to life. And then during that, he ended up getting killed again and then brought back to life again.
Yeah. Wow, only in soaps, right?
Right. So, in the last couple of years, Bo's been off screen. And so finally, they decided with Drake Hodgson passing away, this was the way to write him out. And as fate would have it, this November is going to be the 60th anniversary of Days of Our Lives. So I thought that was kind of an appropriate. I'd rather it not have happened, but
Sure.
Well, Bo's kidneys, which is a long-term time issue for the character, were shutting down, and so his son Sean discovered this experimental drug that might be able to save him. So Sean, Steve Johnson, Bo's wife Hope, and a returning John Black, which, as fate would have it, a unnamed actor, well, not an unnamed actor, but, an actor you don't get to see the face of. That's how he was introduced, and that's how he makes his exit. Which I always enjoy I always like symmetry like that. So they get the drug. During the mission, the lab catches on fire and John's severely burned. So he's wrapped up in bandages just like he was originally. And they brought back a bunch of different characters. His Roman's daughter Carrie, who he more or less raised, Marlena's grandson Will, his stepson Eric. His other children were on the show, and surrounded by family and friends. On June 2nd, 2025, John Black shuffled off his mortal coil. And,
man,
yeah, so,
yeah,
this one was that was a rough one, and actually the funny thing is I was right before the character died. I was actually at my aunt's house, and I'm looking out through the kitchen, and I can see right into her living room. She's watching the show on Peacock, and I almost walked in and asked her if John had gone, but as fate would have it, June 2nd happens to be my cousin's birthday.
Wow.
Yeah, and he and I were just sitting there talking about something else completely as I'm noticing the TV. But yeah, so
major character that you've had for how many decades now, huh?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
He was on the show. Let's see, I was born in August of '86. So he was debuted in January. The actor debuted in January of '86. So 8 months before I was born. So my whole life he's been on the show.
Wow.
Yeah.
So for 40 years or so.
Just about.
My gosh. Real quick, Mark Daly says, cue the band. Don't know much about history. Don't know much biology. If you want to hear me sing the whole song, we got the goal for a karaoke stream. So, And I want to say hi to Real Wade Nation Gaming Clips who jumped in here. Geek Flag with Nate Knows says, okay, you guys are going to make me start you're going to start giving me mama flashbacks tonight, because as much as I was a Star Trek and Star Wars, my mother was all about the soaps. All 3 channels, every name, every backstory. Good, good. Good. It's good to keep those memories alive. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So,
Yeah, there you go. Get a drive-by like from Mark Melnikoff, who's still at the dilithium mines for the evening. So there we go.
All right.
so, as Drake would say, let's swing for the fences.
Let's
When
swing for
talking
the
about
fences.
the topic.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So, let me the minor
Crossovers. What constitutes a minor crossover?
Well, for me, what constitutes it is basically, a character switching shows.
Okay.
A character temporarily jumping over to it. And sometimes.
So in other words, it doesn't go back and forth. It's just one character making a leap. Okay.
Yep. So, for
so
example,
just move to Port Charles from where?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. And one of the things I discovered was you have a better chance of it happening if the shows were created by the same person.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah. And so, which is funny because the first ABC crossover didn't have that. That was General Hospital and One Life to Live in, I think, 1968.
Yeah.
It's Steve
So
Hardy.
wait. So Port Charles and Landview.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, right.
This is how bad I was. I had the from the role playing game for DC Comics Heroes. I had the Atlas of the DC Universe, and I would make up maps that added in. So you had like Metropolis, you had Gotham City, and so forth, and then I would put in Landview, Port Charles, all these other fictional cities.
Funny.
Yep. That's actually the reason why I thought this would be a good idea. So, right there is let me see.
We were actually talking about the Hurricane crossover on what was that, Boomer? Where were we talking about the Hurricanes?
The Hurricanes?
Yeah, the Hurricanes that were on CBS. All the different shows had Hurricane crossovers.
Yeah, that was when we were doing our must-see TV, I think, right?
Friends and all that. Yeah.
Yes.
And Empty Nest and the Golden Girls and all that. Yeah.
Right.
Apparently they did it with the soap operas, too.
Mm.
Sorry to interrupt you, Sir Torrhen.
It's all right. So, right there's Steve Hardy. That's actually Jeff Weber's biological father. And right over there, that is that's not Jim Craig, but that's actually Ben Davidson. But he'll actually be kind of important to one of the crossovers.
I see. Sorry, must have gotten
all right.
I was doing my Google search. All right.
But yeah, you'll have things like hold on, let me go through here. Oh, Jesse and Angie from All My Children.
Yep.
So she would end up leaving the show and joining a show called Loving, which was co-created by Agnes Nixon. Right. And she ended up in the continuation series, The City. What I thought was very interesting was Jessie had gotten killed off in the 80s. And they had the two actors work together on another show where she met a character named Jacob. And since the chemistry was still there, they had those two characters get together. So in the end, Jessie and Angie had their happy ending.
That's funny. Oh, that's wild. Yeah.
Of course, they ended up bringing him back on, Jessie back on All My Children. So they actually got the two characters back together.
Cool.
Yeah. That was, I'm trying to remember who.
That's Karen Black, isn't it? Or not Karen Black. Karen, what was her name?
Oh, she was on Who's
The one
Boss?
from Who's the Boss? Yeah. What's her name?
Judith Light. Oh,
Judith Light. That's her name. Yeah.
Marco Dane. Marco Dane, if you remember him.
Marco
Troy.
Dane, One Life to Live.
Yep. He actually spent a year on General Hospital.
Hmm.
So, and then he ended up
Okay.
jumping back. So yeah, him and Judith Light. It's weird too because it's the damnedest thing. I was actually looking at the characters, and you think I'd remember that face?
Right. I don't know what her character's name was, but when Who's the Boss started, I remember my mom saying, "Oh yeah, that's so and so from
Karen
General
Wolak.
Hospital or whatever." Yeah, there you go. Okay.
This was, I think, actually, if I'm looking, if the scrubs or anything to go off of, this is right before they switched her sister's dead baby with a living one.
Wow.
This happened a lot on soaps with the
was
babies.
Yes.
Well, there's that line in the song, right? The baby you brought home was someone else's. Too bad. 5 days a week, you know, that's how it goes on those fabulous daytime shows.
And demonetized.
I didn't get demonetized when I actually played the scene, so I'm figuring I'm okay.
All right.
So, Tracy, as mentioned, she appeared on The City and General Hospital, where she's probably where she's most prominent. Oh, jeez.
Wow, this is going back a ways, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, I can't remember. Oh, I think that's Mike Bauer. I think he was actually in the very first soap crossover. 1960s, Another World. He was engaged to the character of Lee Randolph. And they never got married because she ended up dying. But here's the wild part about that. It was the first time networks had crossed the streams.
Wow.
Another World was on NBC, and Guiding Light was on CBS.
Wow, there you go.
Two of my mother's favorites.
I just want to throw out there, though, that the idea of a show moving networks used to be not all that uncommon. If you were a fan of the $6 Million Man, it had a spinoff called The Bionic Woman. She changed networks. So you had the $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman on two different networks. Wonder Woman started on one channel, and then she moved to another one. I think it was from CBS to ABC, I want to say. I'm not 100% positive. It happens, guys.
Mm-hmm. And trying to remember. I think is that Bo?
No, that's not Bo.
No, that's not Bo.
Oh,
but I recognize the face. It's just he's so young.
I should probably know who that is, but since I put the picture there, but
Yeah, we can slide through there. But I don't remember him.
You're like,
Yeah. Oh, so Bold and the Beautiful and Young and the Restless in the same room. They were created by the same people.
Right.
And these are the two shows where, like, the overlap is always the most common.
That's what it was,
yeah. And so, because William J. Bell created both shows. And so, that was Roman.
okay.
There you go. Thank you, JPRPH1. Looking out for us there.
All right. So, let's see.
Erica Slezak.
She a villain character?
No. Well, depends on what personality she was.
What do you mean, what personality?
Was she Vicky?
Well, was she Vicky Lord, or was she Nikki Smith?
Does someone clonk her on the head and then it's like King Tut on the old Batman show?
No, not quite. But they did have a storyline where they got into what caused her multiple personality disorder. But the thing I've always said about Erica Slezak was she was such a good actress that when she was playing Vicky and when she was playing Nikki, she played two very different characters, and you could tell just by the look on her face which character she was playing. And you could tell when she was one pretending to be the other. She put that much thought into how she played the character.
Well, it's just like that other actor, the one that played Adam and Stewart.
Absolutely.
Oh, he's going to be
I love
mentioned here
Stewart.
too.
I love Stewart.
I loved Stewart, yeah.
So that's why I think just from this still frame, I'm thinking she's Nikki Smith in this scene.
She might be Jean.
Oh.
Gatekeeper.
There you go. There you go.
That looks like the face of Jean.
There you go. There you go. See, this is what I'm talking about. You know, just the way they emoted, you could kind of tell.
Yeah. Another. I think this was. I want to say this would be on Bold and the Beautiful because there's Eric Forrester. There's
Right.
Lauren Fenmore. She's originally a Young and the Restless character, and I want to say that looks like Donna. But
Cool.
yes. So, and there's him with Lauren. Those two had a history.
Mm-hmm. Drinking martinis. I like that.
Ridge Forrester from Bold and the Beautiful with Ashley Abbott of Young and the Restless. They were in.
Hi, Ashley. Looking good there.
I was about to say, she still looks great. And these are the major ones, which in this case, there are overlap.
Yeah.
So they end up affecting both of the shows they're involved in. And this one, initially, I don't know if it was planned to be a crossover. Because I think what they had was, they had the character, they had the name, but I don't know how much they were going to connect the dots. And that character was Alexandra Devane. And for anyone who is a fan of Charmed, that's Patty Halliwell, the mother of the Charmed ones.
That is right. Yes. Yes, she is.
Vanilla, she's still on the show today, right? The actress, right?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
So,
I loved her accent. Oh, she was so sweet. Yes.
And also,
What is that? What kind of accent is that? Is that Australian?
She's
I could have
English.
English. Okay, English. Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Her character's ex was Australian.
Oh, I see.
Right.
Okay.
And another one was Scottish. But she starts, so in order to, so like I said, I like to circle back to sort of give context to how the story starts. And this story, what eventually became the Twin Switch, has some interesting backstage issues. So, Finola Hughes originally joined General Hospital as the character of Anna Devane. Now, I think the reason for casting her is they wanted to have a new female protagonist for the show because Laura had just left.
Oh, right.
And since Luke was going with her, they had Tristan Rogers as Robert Scorpio. They brought him to the fore and let her as the main male character. And so they introduced Anna to the story. And for, I want to say 7 years, she was at the center of many of the big storylines. Her doomed romance with Duke Lavery was central to her narrative. Her and Robert's finding out that they had a child together that she had hidden because she was actually a double agent for
Wow.
She initially worked for everybody thought she worked for the World Security Bureau, which was, the good guy agency. The good guy 3-letter agency because, this is fiction. And so she ended up being
She was the Baroness from Cobra.
I'm trying to remember DVX.
She would have made a good Baroness from Cobra.
She would have.
She was briefly on a pilot for like an X-Men spin-off series that never happened. It was on Fox back in the 90s.
Oh.
I think it
I
was
might have
like
actually watched
X-Mutants or New Mutants or something like that, but it didn't, or X-Factor. It was before they even started doing the X-Men movies. Yeah.
So, eventually what ended up happening was, in 92, she left the show. And her and Robert they left the show together. They were both presumed dead in a boat explosion that was set up by their arch rival Cesar Faison. So while all of that is happening, segueing over to All My Children. And in 1991, the show got what I think was a casting coup. They hired Michael Nader, who played Dex on Dynasty. And he came onto the show as Dimitri Merrick. And he was a character sort of akin to Maxim de Winter from Rebecca or Heathcliff in Wuthering Heights. You know, he lives in seclusion in his mansion in Pine Valley. And was racked with guilt about the death of, well, not the death, but the long-term coma of his wife Angelique. Well, eventually, you know, his paths cross with the show's most iconic character, Erica Kane.
Yep.
And the two of them begin a romance that dominates most of their storylines in the 90s. Well, by 91, the two of them had married and divorced twice. Oh. Okay, there it is. And the other big thing was, you know, Dimitri discovered he had a son named Anton. He had a half-brother named Edmund Gray, which is the second most important relationship in his life. So, as the story begins,
I'm sorry. I was just reading Mark Daly's comment.
Yeah.
Boy, in another life, she could have been Princess Leia's mom, right? You know why she left in 92, right?
I do not.
That's the year I got married, and she said, "Well, if Troy's not watching anymore, well, there's no point."
What's the point?
I wouldn't have stopped you from watching. Watching can be fun.
Yeah. I like how she thinks.
But, so, what
actually, you know what? Actually, this kind of sums it up. Nate kind of, puts the pin in it. This is really all you have to say about her. She played Emma Frost. It's like, okay, yep, that's all you need to say. That gives you all the innuendo.
But she played two characters on this soap, as we're learning.
Yes.
So, around 1999, ABC calls her up and says, "Hey, do you want to come back to daytime?" And she's like, "Oh, sure. Do you want me to come back on General Hospital?" And they say, "No, we want you on All My Children." So, as this is happening, Michael Nader gets fired. And so, it's a cost-cutting measure. And so, this pisses off a lot of fans.
Yeah.
And so they kind of have this, fan revolt. And it ends up getting him rehired. But I wonder, it gets him rehired later in the next year. But as he's being announced as being fired, her character debuts. And so my theory is they had filmed all this stuff in advance. And so they had, the flashback stuff and all of that for him. And the original plan was that Dimitri wasn't supposed to survive what happens next.
Oh.
So, the way the story goes is it opens up with him going out of town on a business deal. And, he ends up calling up his brother and saying, "Hey, get a party ready at the mansion that he lived in was Wildwind." He's like, "Get a party ready and at Wildwind and, invite all these people there and I'm coming back home. I've got a surprise." So they get a call. The plane is trying to divert and go back to Hungary, which is where Dimitri's family's from originally. And then it comes right back through. And as they enter the airport, he's being taken off on a stretcher. As they're taking him to the hospital, she enters the scene and she follows after them. And Dimitri ends up seemingly dying at the hospital. Edmund wants to find out what the autopsy was. He wants an autopsy to see how his seemingly perfectly healthy brother could drop dead. And she ends up saying, "Nope, that's not going to happen," because he's like, "Wait, I'm his brother. I'm next of kin." And she goes, "Nope, I'm next of kin because I'm his wife."
Wow.
They had married, 4 days prior, and that's where things pick up. And so
she's introduced as an implied Black Widow.
yes, and it starts like everybody. The minute you think everything's legit, because Brooke kind of believes her, Edmund Dimitri and Edmund's cousin Jillian believes her. Erica doesn't, because Erica is just naturally jealous. And so, and every time Edmund comes close to trusting her, she does something weird. But you see these flashbacks that sort of imply from her, that sort of in stuff when she's alone, that imply that her relationship with Dimitri was legitimate.
Okay.
And so we're building, and so Edmund doesn't let this go, and he decides to break into the vault where Dimitri's buried, because she had actually had him have a closed casket. He breaks through because he wants to get a hold of a hair sample so he can see if he got poisoned.
Right.
There's no body in the casket.
He's not dead.
Correct. So what ends up happening is that about a year prior, Dimitri had been involved, and Edmund had been involved in this storyline where Edmund got trapped inside of this aqueduct because a dude was trying to kill him. Dimitri saved him, but ended up with these dizzy spells. And so he had dizzy spells, and so he decided to, and he was trying to figure out what was wrong with him. Well, it turns out he has this rare neurological disease that was shutting down his brain. So he'd gone to...
So he was running for politics, is what you were saying.
Yeah, something like that.
Real quick, I am obliged at this point to say, booger.
Booger.
especially when I'm drunk. I know that there were some soaps that were grouped together, but I kind of always thought that they played fast and loose with the continuity. Okay, so Sir Torrhen might disagree with me, but I'm going to say yes and no. They did kind of play fast and loose with the continuity because sometimes they had to, in order to accommodate real-world situations like contracts and things like that. But by and large, they did a pretty good job of keeping track of the continuity, because the fans did, and they knew that the fans did.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of crazy how well the fans kept track of. Well, look, you got to think of soap operas as a franchise, just like you think of your comic book franchises, Star Wars, Star Trek, whatever. Just the way we shepherd our franchises, soap opera fans did the same thing. So,
Han shot first.
Han shot only.
That's right. You're right.
Greedo never even got a damn shot.
You're
off.
right. I forgot, because it's been wiped from my memory. Okay, but anyway.
Well, and look, this is not a semantic thing. This is I understand it's a reactionary thing. If people say Greedo shot first, in the special edition, Greedo shoots and then Han shoots, right? So everyone says, no, Han shot first. Not thinking through the fact that, no, if Han shot first, Greedo never got shot off. So Han shot only. Okay, sorry. There you go.
Yeah. Although, what he was saying is sometimes there are errors, but you have to remember, long-term shows will have those. Guiding Light had quite a few, and keep in mind, 4 full human generations were born during the time that show was on the air.
That's true. And a lot of times, this is something I don't know if they talk about much, but sometimes it was the actors themselves that kept track of their own characters' continuity.
Yeah.
And say, no, wait a minute.
Erica Slice.
Oh, okay. She was great about that. Yes, she was.
So
She's actually who I was thinking of when I was saying that. Yeah.
yeah, so what ends up happening is so he went to Alex for the treatment. They had fallen in love, and then he
Well,
goes.
look at her. How could you not?
Exactly. Trying to see what's the next one here. Oh,
Go
that's
ahead. It
I think
might
that's
be
her with,
connected to that one actually.
and
Yeah.
I think that's her and Edmund.
Yep.
So yes, it does lead into this. So Alexandra Devane, I forgot to mention that was her character's name, or
Right.
Alexandra Merrick. so
And you see that face, you can hear the accent.
yeah. So the next big reveal is that Dimitri had faked his death in order to face his illness alone, where his not bring his family along for the ride. So what they end up doing is, and remember, this is the early 2000s. People thought stem cells were magic.
Right, exactly.
So they're able to finagle Colby Chandler, although at the time she was Colby Martin, because everyone thought Jake Martin was the father. They got a hold of her stem cells to use in an experimental treatment to help Dimitri. He responds well to the treatment, but he disappears, and this is where I think was supposed to be the ending for his character. And so, he disappears, and he's presumed dead, and I think that was supposed to be the end of it. Because what ends up happening next is they jump into Alex's origins. Because she has some interesting skills. Not only
Sure she does.
Not only is she a brilliant neurologist, but she also speaks Russian, despite never remembering how she learned it. Is a master martial artist, which she doesn't remember learning. And she's having flashbacks to a young girl named Robin. So.
She was also a ballet dancer. And, no, I'm sorry. Never mind.
What?
So, what ends up happening is that she ends up traveling to a mental institution out in Wales called Brynwood.
Arkham Asylum. No, I'm sorry.
Brynwood, because she ends up talking with a former intelligence agent named Adrian Sword, who brings up Anna Devane, and she starts to wonder, well, I look just like her. Maybe I am her. She gets into contact with her mother, Charlotte, and her mother's like, no, of course not. You're not a spy. Turns out her mother's been brainwashing people to be assassins. Inside that mental institution.
Oh.
So, her and Edmund go to Wales to try and figure out what happened, and she ends up revealing that, actually, you and Anna were two separate people. You were supposed to kill her, and you did. But the other surprise is, while they're there in the mental institution...
I didn't even think of that, Mark.
Winwood?
Winwood? Did she find higher love? Oh. Just remember, you want me to sing that song for you.
Yeah.
We got to have a karaoke stream, so don't forget the goal. We're 3 out of 30, so I'm guessing you guys aren't really interested in karaoke. That's fine. That's fine.
Trying to remember what happens next. So, meanwhile, backstage, like in.
Yep.
Meanwhile, in the real world, the what do you call it? The revolt the fans had orchestrated got Michael Nader rehired. So Dimitri returns, and he's locked up in the mental institution.
Of course.
And so what ends up happening is he shows up. He ends up escaping from them because, well, what he's doing is he's pretending to be catatonic. Someone goes to kill him. Charlotte decides to get rid of him. He takes out the guy. He runs back to Pine Valley. Him and Edmund end up meeting up, and at the same time, David is trying to save his life because he's still sick. And so by the end of it, Charlotte ends up getting exposed and arrested. And then, well, by this point, Edmund and, as you can see, Edmund and Alex have started a relationship, but she ends up going back to Dimitri. And so, yes. And so, oh God, I'm trying to remember what comes next. Okay, let me check my notes. So he's acting like, no, I'm okay with that. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. But he's obviously not. And so, late 2000, Alex disappears. And Dimitri has a habit of kidnapping, not Dimitri, Edmund has a habit of kidnapping Dimitri's women. He's done it with Erica. So he thinks, oh, Edmund's snapping.
Wait, let's stop and think about that sentence for a second.
I know,
he's got this habit of no, he's got this habit of kidnapping women. I mean, it's just okay, and that's a story. That's a plot point. Yes,
he's a romantic.
Or okay, that's one way of looking at it. Yeah,
yeah.
It's called passion.
No, that's a whole different show.
Yeah. So what ends up happening is.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So.
Well, I mean, we kind of glossed over the whole Luke and Laura thing, so let's just keep going, right?
Yes. Yeah. So. Oh God. So. Dimitri thinks Edmund's done something to her, and so, but it turns out she disappeared on her own accord. She had been contacted by somebody up in Canada, and while she's in Canada, she discovers her twin. Anna's actually still alive.
You are a terrible assassin, girl.
Yeah, turns out she never actually killed her. And then, so everything is, so Anna's recovering. She starts to bond with Alex. Then, along the way, they get attacked by another assassin whose name is Gabriel. Turns out that their father could not keep it zipped. Because that's what they're And so eventually, Charlotte ends up hiring this one person who actually does kill somebody. But it's Dimitri's cousin, Jillian. For
deleted scenes, I've got to interject real quick. He says, Luke and Laura, that's a whole other show and a lot of therapy. Yes, that's absolutely true. Every breath you take and every move you make.
So, in 2001, and I'm probably glossing over a lot of stuff, but...
That's fair.
But a lot of stuff did happen. So, eventually, Jillian gets taken out by the assassin that Charlotte sent after them. Charlotte gets captured, and Alex and Dimitri decide to leave town. And from there, the two of them are never seen together in Pine Valley again. Anna, meanwhile, stays. Now, what had happened was, you know how Michael Nader got rehired? Well, he got busted for cocaine possession.
Oh.
What year was this?
This was in 2001.
Okay, yeah, they started to care about that then. Okay, never mind.
So he got busted for cocaine possession. This led into a lawsuit that he ended up filing, because they said he breached his morals clause in his contract. He says he's got a disability because he's an addict.
Huh.
Interesting legal theory, yes.
Yeah. And then eventually...
I'm actually surprised he didn't go with the, what are you talking about? I did coke with all of you assholes.
But yeah, so he ended up getting fired, and so they left the show together, and they wouldn't be seen together again. So what ended up happening was Anna ends up staying in town. And so she'd step into her role as a police officer, become the police chief in Pine Valley. She'd reunite with Rob and meet her nephew Aiden, which was her sister Lindsay's son. Team up with Ryan Lavery, who was the cousin to her late husband Duke. And she falls in love with David Hayward, who in a very funny moment, got thrown down a flight of steps by her sister.
Oh.
Yeah. The two of them would
As
end up...
happens all the time, of course.
Yeah, yeah. So he wasn't Alex's biggest fan. So the two of them end up having a daughter named Leora, who's named after David's, at the time, well, actually not at the time. He stayed dead. His brother Leo, who was played by a young Josh Duhamel, if you remember the show Vegas with James Caan.
Yes.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, he was on that. I played, I think Danny was his character's name on that.
Real quick, I do have to acknowledge Mark Daly says, Tom Connors is always talking about how Hollywood has to get back to cocaine and capitalism. Then maybe we'll get Congo 2. Sit down and shut up, Kathy.
But yeah, the two of them end up losing their daughter. This causes a rift in their relationship. Their relationship ends when, and so does her time in Pine Valley during a murder mystery where David's one of the suspects. She ends up, giving him the evidence and saying, I'm going to Paris. Robin's there. Don't follow me.
Booger, that's Harper Valley PTA. Another song I would be happy to sing if we hit our goal.
So here's actually...
Wait, who sang Harper Valley PTA? Was that... That wasn't... Vicki Lawrence was...
No, it wasn't Vicki Lawrence.
Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia.
Hold on. Alexa, who sang Harper Valley PTA? Jeannie Riley, I think?
I almost said Jeannie Francis.
Alexa! Why aren't you answering me, you stupid cow?
Alexa!
She keeps turning off.
She's broken.
No. Oh, no.
Never mind.
I want to say her name was Jeannie Riley.
Janie C. Riley. Was that
close.
something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to unplug her and plug her back in.
And this is actually a very... Oh, sorry.
She went blue on me earlier today. And I don't mean she was like saying dirty things. I mean she just had a blue light going.
Oh, I thought she was a Democrat.
Well, there's that too, yeah. Actually, if you ever asked her who should I vote for during the election, it was very clear that she was part of the whole Amazon thing. So just...
Yeah. Hold on, let me... And the... actually, this is a fun little factoid. When Anna was pregnant, she was accosted in her house by this young man with a knife, and it was the introduction to the show of the character of the eventual Reggie Montgomery. You know who played the original Reggie Montgomery?
I do not.
Chadwick Boseman.
Oh. You're kidding! Wow.
Here's the best part. He would leave the show, and his replacement was Michael B. Jordan.
Oh, that's so weird.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so weird.
So that's how this...
Wait a minute. Are they saying they all look alike? Is that what they're saying?
Saying they were both in Black Panther.
Moving on.
When do you want to do your commercial break, by the way, Troy?
We're probably at about the midpoint. Let's let everybody know what we got coming up for the rest of the week, and then we'll continue on the other side. How's that sound?
Sounds like an idea.
Be right back in under 2 minutes, 20 seconds.
Yes.
You are watching Last Call, streaming every Friday night at 9 Central, 10 Eastern. Come on in, pull up a chair, and have a drink with us.
This week on Saturday Night at the Movies, David is 8 years late for dinner, and the U.S. government wants to know why. Come along on the greatest adventure of the summer. It's Flight of the Navigator. This week on Big Al Presents Films with Friends. Saturday at 9 Central, 10 Eastern.
Every Sunday evening, Aged Boomer and Papa Pacelli bring you the rundown of the week's geek news, or at least what they think is interesting. You may have heard about it somewhere else, but Boomer and Pacelli put a spin on it you likely won't hear anywhere else. It's Geeky Geezers, every Sunday evening at 8 Central, 9 Eastern.
This week on Live from Sparkwood and 21, the David Lynch superfans lead us on a deep dive into the nightmarish and surreal spectacle that is David Lynch's Inland Empire, trying to help us tease out its deeper meaning. This Tuesday at 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern on Deleted Scenes and Affiliates.
Has Avon gone mad? Having guided the Liberator to the man-made planet of Terminal with no explanation, he's teleported down, alone. Could this be the end at last? It certainly looks that way, as Servalan closes in and the Liberator begins to disintegrate. It's Terminal, this Tuesday on Last Call presents Blake 7 at 10 p.m. Central, 11 Eastern.
Did you top off your glasses? We now return to Last Call.
Booger is pointing out that J.C. Riley sang the song, but Tom T. Hall wrote it. That I did not know. But it actually makes sense if you know Tom T. Hall. No, I wouldn't put you on because it really did. It happened just this way.
You gotta sing with a southern accent.
The day my mama socked it to the Harper Valley PTA. This is probably why people aren't contributing to the karaoke fund, because they're like, this is the kind of singing he does. We don't want to hear any more of that crap.
So, any left with this twin dilemma? Oh, we don't have the thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got to bring back the presentation. My apologies.
So, eventually, hold on, let's see. Oh wait, that's
Sky Chandler. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not.
You're not there yet. You want to finish up the twins.
So what ends up happening to the characters is, like Anna, Robert's revealed to be alive in 06 during the sweep storyline where Luke Spencer ends up infecting poor Charles with encephalitis.
Oh, my God.
So Robert would make guest appearances throughout the years, and sadly the actor was diagnosed with, I think, stomach cancer not too long ago. So I hope
too bad it wasn't encephalitis. That would have at least, been on brand. So
yeah. So he he discovered that he and his other ex-wife Halsey Sutton have a daughter of their own, and so Anna would reemerge during the second season. So she would leave, and for like 5 years she'd be off the map. She'd reemerge during the spin-off of General Hospital, Night Shift, during a storyline where Robert, ironically, had cancer. So she ends up going on numerous adventures before returning to Port Charles in the 2010s, where she ended up being reunited with Duke, who had been seemingly killed in the 80s, before he was killed off again in the 2010s. She would end up having...
That sounds like overkill to me.
Oh, I know. She would end up having romantic relationships with the returning Noah Drake. The character of Hamilton Finn and Valentine Cassadine, none of which were successful. She's currently as of right now, she's currently the commissioner of the Port Charles Police Department and dealing with the drama of her now grown granddaughter, Emma Scorpio Drake. So her and Dr. Noah Drake share a grandchild.
Huh.
Edmund would end up being reunited with his presumed dead wife, Maria, a couple years after this storyline. They'd be happy until he ended up getting shot and was left paralyzed, which caused a rift in their marriage. Around the same time, Zach Slater, Maria's lover during her amnesiac period, would come to Pine Valley to figure out who had killed his brother. This culminates
I wasn't cheating on you. I forgot I was married. I had amnesia.
It's like a Lady Chatterley's Lovers situation.
Something like that.
Is that?
Something like that. That storyline culminates in Ryan getting shot and Zach's son Ethan almost trying to figure out to prove Zach was the shooter. Unfortunately, Edmund ends up getting killed by the real shooter, which was Ryan's brother Jonathan. John Callahan, the actor who played Edmund, would leave the show following this storyline. He'd end up being on Days of Our Lives for a couple of years before leaving the show, and sadly, he passed away following a stroke in 2020. Dimitri would end up revealing that he and Alex divorced sometime before 2013 when he returned to Pine Valley during the show's 2013 revival. And he'd stay on the show until it was canceled later that year. So he'd
Not
be
much
mentioned.
of a revival.
No, not really. Not really. He'd be mentioned on General Hospital during the appearances where Alex resurfaces, but he's never seen.
Yeah.
There was rumors that he was going to appear, but sadly Michael Nader passed away in 2021, which ended any talks of that. Alex, if this is seen as any indication, would end up showing back up, revealing herself to be the mother of Peter August, who was originally thought to be the child of Faison and Anna, which everyone thought was out of character. And she'd switch places with Anna a bunch of times because she finally went off the deep end. Apparently, the brainwashing took. And
Just lost you there, Sir Torrhen. Double check your mic.
oh,
Okay.
Like a whoosh too, didn't you?
Yeah,
I
it sounded like a sound effect from Missile Command, and then you were at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, we hear you fine now. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, she was seemingly killed by Anna during a shootout with Anna, and time will tell if this death takes.
Cool.
And because from what I heard, Finola Hughes doesn't like playing both parts.
Yeah, I can understand that.
It
It's
must
kind of
get confusing as an actor, yeah. Okay.
So the next story we move on to is the Sky Chandler maternity-paternity storyline.
You know, I do have to say, for all the storylines that we've talked about in all the streams we've done on soap operas, you know what is incredibly and surprisingly missing from these soap opera love stories? They're all straight. Really? I mean, think about it. You don't have a whole lot of these tutti frutti storylines.
Well, we're there's going to be one we talk about tonight later on. I think at least one. I think there's a lesbian couple, I believe.
Yeah, there is. Actually.
Oh, awesome! Okay, I'm looking forward to that. All right, here we go.
Yeah, there's. But that I think that's a little after the story.
Oh, no,
but I can tell. I'll follow.
That's male stuff, right? We're not allowed to say that. Sorry.
So, to sort of circle back, this show involved not 2 soaps, but 3. Actually 4, but I couldn't find anything on the 4th.
Wow.
So they wanted all the
This sounds like we're going out for ratings. We want you to watch all of our shows.
That was the
They were following the Marvel marketing trend there.
Mm-hmm. Before Marvel did it.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting though is this storyline was happening while the Anna stuff and Alex stuff was happening at the same time. So this was the one I think everyone was going to be like the one you locked onto. But it ended up being all right, I think. At the end of the day, I don't really remember it because I wasn't watching at the time. The last one is the one where I was actually watching most of the time. But so for the main characters, you have the character Sky Chandler, who was on One Life to Live at the time. Ray Cummings, who was also on One Life to Live. You have Myrtle, who was on All My Children. And these are like the characters that are sort of central to the story. So Myrtle was a character that you meet back in the 1970s. She's mostly a supporting character on All My Children. People kind of going to her when they need advice. So we get sort of a look into her life as a carny. And she was involved with this guy named Marcello Angelini. He was a trapeze artist. They were going to get married. And then he pulled a flying Wendola and, hit the ground.
But that's okay because his son ended up becoming a ward to Bruce Wayne. Oh, I'm sorry, never mind.
But she ended up finding out that she was pregnant. She gives the baby up for adoption. That baby ends up becoming the character of Ray Cummings, who's played by daytime legend Linda Dano. Well, or Linda Dano. I can't never remember how to pronounce that. And so here's actually the funny part of that story. So there she is. Felicia Gallant from Another World. So those two on Another World actually played mother and daughter in a very similar storyline.
Nice.
Yeah, so the suggestion I make at the end is actually kind of amusing because of the actor I picked. But so then her character, when she was in college, got pregnant, and that baby ended up being Sky Chandler, who ended up being adopted by Adam Chandler, and his first wife Althea. Let's see if those two did not like each other at first, because that's usually how these storylines go. But so, and the other main character in it is Dr. Alan Quartermain of General Hospital, who, if you guys have ever seen the 1964 Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella.
Yes, I did.
Prince Charming.
No kidding. Okay.
Yeah, for real. So during the storyline, Myrtle and Ray ends up finding her mother, which was Myrtle, and then revealing that she had a child, and so this leads into a whole storyline where Sky, who had been brought over to Pine Valley by Asa Buchanan, who was, as fate would have it, her stepfather, because he was married to Ray.
Right.
At one point. A couple years prior, actually. No, before that. He was involved, he hated the character of Ben Davidson. And Sky, hold on, let me see how this goes. All right, so if I remember correctly, Sky and Ben were married.
You know what? Booger brings up a great point. Why do none of these evil twins have goatees? How are we supposed to know that they're evil? Well, that is an interesting point, because in soap operas, you are not supposed to be able to tell the evil twin from the good twin. In fact, they are supposed to, on occasion, fool people by pretending to be their twin. That's the way the storyline goes. Thank you, Deleted Scenes, for the $2 super chat. That brings us to 4 out of 30. He wants to see a karaoke stream next month.
Also, I don't think women outside of Italian women can grow goatees.
You got a point there.
I know Italian women. They can grow things. European women can.
So, okay, let's see. He wants to So Ben was involved with Vicky.
Yep.
And so he was trying to ruin that relationship. And so she ends up getting involved with Max Holden to help her with that.
Yes.
Max Holden, meanwhile, had conned Asa into thinking that he was his son, and she knew the truth, and Blair Kramer was part of that con. Well, to keep her quiet, Max ends up sleeping with Sky. And it turns out Ben is actually Asa's son. So from there, things escalate. Sky reveals that what happened with Max to Blair. She ends up, and Blair ends up shooting Max. Blair's ex-husband, Todd, takes the gun, throws it into, and actually puts it in Sky's room. She gets arrested. And
Italian in the room. I give absolution on the Italian slurs. Okay.
I was about to say, hey, I'm Italian too. I'm allowed to say
there
it.
You go. Clegane. Is that Clegane? Did you drop the I on the end there? Okay, I see how this works. Okay.
But yeah, so
no. He said he's Italian.
But yeah, well, it's a vowel at the end of the name. But
my maiden name has a vowel at the end of it. Doesn't make me Italian. Made me French.
Yeah, but you don't pronounce it. La France is not. It's got to have an I at the end, like Pacelli, Langono. That kind of thing. Lamborghini. I'm a Mario. Pasta fajoule. Agent Boomer wants to sing too. Yes, I want to hear more of the Man in Black. There you go.
Well, I will do another Johnny Cash song if we meet the deadline. But go ahead, you were saying
I
something.
fell into a burning ring of fire.
Oh, no, don't do it. Don't do it.
Down, and the flames went high. Oh, this isn't really meant to be a singing stream, so if I got to cut this out later on,
I see.
Okay with that.
Sorry, that's all I have for those picks. Sorry, but I don't know. She's rather good looking.
So
both mother and daughter.
There you go. Yes.
So I'm trying to remember how this all goes. So let me see.
Blue skies shining on me. No, I'm sorry. The sky.
Yeah. So
Mark Daly says I'm half Irish. I was allowed to say God created whiskey to keep the Irish from ruling the world. I like that. So, Mark, you're a little newer to the community, so you might not have ever heard this. But despite the vowel at the end of my name, Troy Pacelli, the Italian actually comes from my mother's side of the family because my father, his name was Tom Collins. I shit you not. And he claimed that he was of Irish descendancy. He was a redneck, let's be honest. But he claims that he was Irish. And let's face it, he drank like he was Irish. So.
Cool.
Right. So who is she? Just asking for a friend. That's Sky Chandler.
Yeah. So, okay, so where was I? So Todd plants the gun in Sky's room. Now, Sky knows Ray's looking for her child, but doesn't realize she's said child. Ray ends up finding the truth during a confrontation at the police station where her boyfriend, Detective John Sykes...
Just a moment. I do need to clarify. I did say that my father claimed to be of Irish ancestry, which would make me half Irish. However, there is question whether that is actually true or not. I don't know if you know this about Americans who claim to be Irish, but there is this tendency for people from the South of nondescript European descent to claim to be Irish with no evidence that they have any Irish lineage. Gotcha. Let's face it, I don't speak the Gaelic, so I wouldn't qualify anyway.
I trust what my mom said. Because, see, my grandfather's Scottish, my grandmother was Welsh.
See, you literally know that you are 1/4 Irish specifically because you know who your grandparents were. I can't lay that claim, so.
I was going to make you a dirty joke right there about something else being laid, but I'm not going to.
You did not have enough alcohol to make dirty jokes, my girl. We had a QB named Todd Collins. I called him the toast of the town. I like that. Do you know Tom Collins? Well, like I said, my dad's name was Tom Collins. And I have had the drink. Not terribly fond of it, but sorry, let's continue.
So yeah, John Sykes, who's Ray's boyfriend, reveals to Ray that Sky is her daughter. Now, I'm not exactly sure how he learned that, but somehow this also is something that Todd knew. So eventually it's revealed that Blair was the one who shot Max, and her and Sky end up teaming up to expose. Well, no, Sky and Max team up to expose Todd and Blair for their actions. He ends up drugging Blair, making it look like they slept together, something that sends Todd into a rage, and he says, "Hey, you shot Max! Oh, and by the way, Sky, Ray's your mother."
Yeah.
So Adam shows up in Landview, and he confirms the truth. Sky says, "Okay, well, you're my mother. Well, who's my father?" She's all like, "Nah, I don't want to talk about it." Well, eventually she ends up having a conversation where she says that it's Dr. Alan Quartermain in Port Charles. So the two of them end up going there just as him and his wife Monica are renewing their vows. So it turns out Ray and Alan had a relationship, and Skye was apparently the result of that.
Oh.
And so Edward ended up paying to make the baby disappear, and that's how Adam's wife Althea got a hold of her. And Alan is elated to discover he had another child. The rest of his family, not so much, except for his son AJ, who him and Skye end up bonding because they're both alcoholics who both get into trouble.
The Horror King says, as an Irishman, we treat everybody equally. We hate all you fuckers. That I embellished that one a little bit for you.
Anyway.
So, let's see. Well, eventually, about 2 years into this storyline, it's revealed that Skye isn't actually Alan's daughter. It's Tracy that actually revealed the truth of that. And this is where the story kind of ends. Sadly,
I'll tell you what, if I lived in a soap opera universe, I'd be afraid to sleep with anybody.
Yeah.
You never know. They might be a relative of yours.
Right. So the stories actually didn't have any resolution. It had resolution, but it didn't have the finding out who the father was. My theory should have been this. My theory was this: bring John Aprea onto the show. Now, he played so like I mentioned, Felicia Galland, her daughter Lorna. He was the father of Felicia's
Horror
daughter.
King says good night, all. Good morning, Horror King. Take care.
Anyway.
So my theory was bring him onto the show.
That could go either way, actually. But there you go.
Yeah, no, that sounds like me. Because there's also Irish and German heritage. Actually, if my great-great-grandfather's naturalization papers are anything to go off of, Austrian.
If you're half Irish and half German, were you weaned on beer? Just wondering. Anyway.
But yeah, so like I said, Robin Christopher, the actress who played Skye, played Lorna on Another World. Felicia Galland was played by Linda Dano. John Aprea played the father of Lorna. And I said, okay, bring him in. The fun fact, that actor was Grandpa Katsopoulos on Full House.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. See, this was the thing my mom used to do all the time. We'd be watching a show and she'd go, "Oh, that's so and so from such and such soap opera." That's nice, Mom. Thanks.
I did that once. I was watching One Life to Live, and the second actor who played Clint was Jerry Verdorn. He played Ross Marler on Guiding Light. And my mother didn't watch One Life to Live. But she walks right into the living room and she goes, "What's Ross doing on this show?"
Yeah, no, my mom was, at this point, she was like completely nonplussed. She's like, "Which show are we watching?" "Oh, okay, so this isn't so-and-so." "Oh, it is so-and-so, so this is a crossover."
Yeah. And so hold on. Let me say the fates of the characters. There's her and Jax on General Hospital.
Nice.
So this actually segues into the fates of the characters. So Skye would remain on General Hospital for the next, in 2003, the next 5 years. She'd marry and divorce.
One thing I want to point out about this picture. So this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is the cover of ABC Soaps magazine.
Mm-hmm.
So there, back before the internet was all the rage, you used to be in the grocery store, and on your way out, you'd have your People magazine, you'd have your Weekly World News, whatever, and you'd have all these different soap opera digests. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. That one was called Soap Opera Digest.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So those two would end up getting married and then divorced before she had her only child, Lila Ray Alcazar, with Lorenzo Alcazar. And if that guy looks familiar, that is Andy Trudeau from Charmed.
Wow, there you go.
Right.
Oh, and that baby? That was the only time you saw this baby. The next time you saw him, he was 10 years old. The next time you saw him after that, he was 18.
Oh,
I joke, but it's probably pretty close to that.
I actually think that baby right there is actually her daughter, real life daughter, because she was pregnant around the time her character was.
There you go.
So what ends up happening is she gets involved, and in between her relationship with Lorenzo and also with Jack, she gets involved with Luke, and gets involved in his less than legal activities. Her and her daughter would leave the show in 2008 before resurfacing in 2012 after the death of her of Sky's adopted grandfather Edward, who was played at this point by John Ingle. Anybody who was young in the 90s will remember him as the voice of Daddy Threehorn from Land Before Time.
Mark Daly's mom recognized the Doctor from Babylon 5 from Days of Our Lives. He always played a doctor on TV, right? And now Deleted Scenes wants to know what show Sky is on now. He's asking for a friend.
She's not on any of them.
Oh.
That's a shame.
I was just about to get there. So she would disappear with Blair Kramer and Taya Delgado when they realized that Taya's brother Tomas looked just like Lorenzo.
There you go.
Ray would end up would stay on One Life to Live until 2004, where she would leave with John to go on a worldwide cruise, but she'd briefly return in 2006. And I think her leaving in 2004 had a lot to do with Linda Dano's personal life, because she had lost her husband and her mother in the same year.
That's rough.
Yeah, like within days of each other, actually.
Yeah.
Myrtle would remain a sympathetic year for the denizens of Pine Valley until the death of her actress Eileen Henley in 2008. And her time on the show would be commemorated with an episode dedicated to her and her character, and it would be one of the last times the series creator Agnes Nixon would cameo on the show. Let's see. Oh, I'll get to Alan in a second. But Adam, his fate will be discussed in the next storyline. Alan would stay on the show until 2007, when his character was killed off during the Metrocourt hostage crisis. He'd appear off and on over the years as a ghost, making his final appearance in 2014 following the death of his son AJ. Stuart Damon sadly passed away in 2021.
Yep.
This storyline, oh boy.
All my children, one life to live, baby switch, yes. This was, I'm pretty sure, what they were referring to when they were talking about the baby you brought home with someone else's. Too bad.
That looks rather intense. This was, I guess, a commercial promo for that. Where I sensed that from.
So yeah, here to begin with. So this one, you have to sort of, I don't know how far back you have to go to see the beginning of the story. So the story begins on One Life to Live. Vicky Lord, her son Kevin Buchanan, was involved with Dorian Lord's niece Kelly.
Yes.
And she was pregnant with the baby, and then what ends up happening is the baby was a stillbirth. Kelly, trying to save her marriage, says she's pregnant again, but that's a lie. So she turns to her brother Paul and convinces him to help her find a baby. Now, it turns out Kelly has issues carrying a baby to term, so she fakes her pregnancy instead of, trying again. Paul agrees to do so, not realizing that fate will bring him exactly where he needs to be very soon. Now, for All My Children, the story goes back a little further. Now, this starts with the introduction of a character named Michael Cambius. He's initially this kind of ruthless corporate raider who gains control of Chandler Enterprises, which is run by Adam Chandler, Palmer Cortland's company, and the Enchantment Cosmetics, which is run by Erica, all while using Erica's daughter Bianca. Well, not Bianca. Using Bianca's girlfriend Lena, because she was the lesbian.
Okay. I knew there had to be a lesbian in there somewhere.
Yeah. So he also romances Erica's oldest daughter, Kendall, who was played originally by Sarah Michelle Gellar.
That's right! Yes!
So, what ends up happening is he ends up attacking Erica. This is when you finally see the mask come off. And, this leads into, and he tries to, it turns out he's a bit of a involuntary sex enthusiast.
Wow.
Trying not to get you demonetized.
Wow. Okay.
So he tries it on Erica, who, if you know her history,
Oh, yes.
well, Kendall ends up intervening and saving her. Unfortunately, Bianca is not so lucky. He gets arrested. He escapes justice in the courtroom, only to end up deader than roadkill. Now, remember when I mentioned that David was a suspect in a murder mystery? Yeah, this is the one. Well, Bianca reveals that she's pregnant by what happened with Cambius. And Erica, insists she get an abortion. Bianca can't go through with it. She tries to cover up everything, and Kendall ends up trying, when she finds out, she tries to cover for it, even though she knows this will probably destroy her relationship with Erica. Finding out, oh, you're pregnant with the man who attacked your sister, that sort of thing. Well, turns out to be moot because Kendall's rival, Greenlee, ends up exposing the deception. Now, as this is happening, Adam Chandler's son, JR, comes back to town. Now, let me see who's here. Okay, well. Oh, I think that's Michael. The actor's been on General Hospital now for like 10 years, but I would respect, I'd know that face anywhere. Oh, no, I'm sorry, I think that's Kevin.
Oh, okay.
It's Kevin. I think that's Kelly, but I cannot remember. Sometimes I have a hard time.
Is that the villain? He looked
That's
villainous.
Paul. There's
Okay.
Todd. He's
Okay.
not part of this storyline, but he's later.
Okay. Yeah, this one I struggled a bit with, so hopefully, if I'm not following along with you, I guess just, oh, there you go.
There's
That's
Bianca.
Bianca, the one who likes the other ladies. Okay, yes.
Yeah. It's the nice way of phrasing it. So JR shows up, and he's got a wife now, and she's also pregnant. Now there's a bunch of stuff going on in the background with them, but there's this joint baby shower that happens at the Chandler mansion. Bianca and Babe. Bianca gets into an argument with Erica. She storms out. Babe follows after her. Now, if anyone in the chat has lived in Pennsylvania, the weather here is, especially in the wintertime, is bipolar as hell. Torrential downpours are not uncommon. And, God, I once drove through one. It was terrifying. They end up getting trapped in the storm, and that begins the crossover. So from there, Bianca goes into labor. Babe delivers Bianca's baby. She ends up calling up Paul Kramer because with Paul, those two have a past. He's a trained EMT. He goes out to rescue them. Bianca ends up, Bianca and the baby, then Babe goes into labor. So Bianca has a little girl. She has a little boy. Fortunately for Paul, both of them are out cold and after giving birth, and they can't witness what he does next. He takes both babies. He gives the little boy to his sister with his plan to return Bianca's child to her and tell Babe that he lost the child in an accident. Unfortunately for Paul, Adam and JR, who are looking for Babe and Bianca, get to him first and imply that things will go badly if he doesn't produce the Chandler heir immediately. So he lies and says, "Here, meet your daughter." So while they're at the hospital, Bianca wakes up and tries to take her baby back, which leads to her getting into trouble because no one knows what's going on. So they decide, okay, we'll have a DNA test to see if the baby is hers. Crystal, Carrie, Babe's mother, switches the DNA results because she realizes that her grandchild is actually dead. This gets her caught by David. And before he can actually reveal anything, she reveals that they had an encounter when they were in college together, and Babe is his daughter. So if you know anything about the character of David Hayward, this is a guy who's lost, so many people in his life. He thought his father, did a Sudoku. Turned out his mother murdered him.
Oh.
His brother died protecting his wife from their insane mother. He lost a daughter, as mentioned earlier. So the idea that he has a child like kind of blinds him in this moment, because Bianca's a character that almost everyone in the town cares about. So what he does next is he goes along with the whole thing. Erica ends up leaving town because she feels responsible for what happened. David and Babe bond, but her relationship with JR ends poorly. She ends up hooking up with the character of Jamie Martin, and Kelly's initial ploy to save her marriage doesn't work out, and she and Kevin end up getting divorced, but that leads into a custody battle over their son. Meanwhile, Paul is blackmailing everybody in Landview. And there's a serial killer going around, so things aren't going to end too well for him.
Oh.
So it's around this time that Babe finds out that her son is still alive and being raised in Landview. So let me see if there's anything changes. Okay, this was, I think, during the wedding / Babe and JR's wedding. And they were getting the baby baptized, and that's Bianca holding her daughter, thinking that it's her daughter.
But it's not?
Oh, it's Bianca's daughter, not Babe's.
Okay.
So,
I don't know if this was part of the baby thing. I just threw those in there.
Different ones, I think.
Okay, different baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
So I'm trying to remember. So what ends up happening? Hold on. So she ends up leaving letters to JR and Bianca. JR reads the letter, gets both letters. This leads to a confrontation between him and JR, where he ends up pushing her off of a balcony and putting her in a coma.
Because of course he does, yes.
This would not be the only daughter that he'd end up putting in a coma of Erica's that he'd put in a coma, because he ends up doing it to Kendall a couple years later.
Oh.
JR's not a good guy to be around, is what I'm saying.
Did they just let him get away with that in the town?
Yeah, he's kind of the son of like one of the richest guys there, so yeah, kind of.
Real quick, I do have to. It's my obligation as the host of the stream. I've got to wish Joe's Atmosphere a happy birthday and sing "Happy Birthday to You, Happy Birthday to You, Happy Birthday, Joe's Atmosphere, Happy Birthday to you, and 60
Yay.
more."
Just 60?
Well, let's get through 60 and then we'll see if we want to give him another 60. How's that?
Okay, I got you. Okay.
Have a good night, Joe. Take care.
Bye-bye. Happy birthday.
So yeah, working with Jamie, David, and Crystal, Babe is able to talk Kelly into giving her back her son. Kevin intercedes, though that would end in a custody battle where the whole truth ends up coming out. And I don't recall what happens next, but while Babe, Jamie, and David are in Landview, Paul ends up getting murdered. It turns out his murder is unrelated to the baby switch. Turns out blackmailing someone with everything to lose will probably get you killed.
It can happen, yes, it can happen.
So Jamie, Babe, Crystal, and David end up getting arrested, but Crystal ends up taking the fall for everyone. Now, meanwhile, in Pine Valley, JR stays in denial about everything. And as the story reaches its climax, when Erica returns and tries to convince Adam to do the right thing and make sure the child in question is really his granddaughter. And Adam ends up doing the right thing in the end.
That's good.
So Erica ends up reuniting Miranda with her mother. That's Miranda was the name Bianca picked. And Bianca, in a Christmas miracle, emerges from her coma.
Nice.
And that's how the story ended. So Michael Cambia stayed dead, and no one was really upset about that. Bianca would end up leaving town in 2006, if memory serves, but she'd return off and on for the next couple of years before returning on a more permanent basis in 2010, remaining with the show until its 2011 cancellation. And then she'd come back for the revival, where she'd be a major character on that. Babe would remain on the show, her tempestuous relationship with JR remaining the highlight before the original actress leaves in 2007. The recast doesn't take, so they kill her off in 2008. David would leave the show in 2006, only to resurface following Babe's death in 2008. and he began his revenge spree against the Chandler family, a storyline that would continue for much of his time on the show. He'd remain on the show until its finale in 2011. He'd also return in the 2013 revival. Crystal's time in prison would be brief, but it would also begin a new mystery involving the character of Di Henry, whom everyone believed was the resurrected Dixie, who, if anyone remembers that character, Troy.
Vaguely, yes.
So it turned out to be untrue, though Dixie would be revealed to be alive, because everyone thought she was dead at that point. Now, during the storyline, she and Adam ended up getting married and falling in love, only for that marriage to collapse when it was revealed that Tad Martin was the father of her baby.
Yeah, this is sounding familiar now, yeah.
So, like David and Bianca, she would remain on the show until its initial finale, though she would not appear in the revival. Erica's storyline in Las Vegas would have consequences for Kendall later down the line because she'd end up falling in love with the character of Zack Slater, the man who owned the casino that Erica worked at. She ended up becoming a showgirl, which... It's funny how they pick the weirdest jobs for Susan Lucci on this show. She's 5'1", but her character was a model and a Vegas showgirl, who are usually not that short. So,
oh my goodness.
So yeah, so Zack Slater would come to Pine Valley. He'd be revealed to be the brother of Michael Cambias, but a far better person than his brother, and he'd end up falling in love with Kendall, and they'd have a son together. Adam would stay on the show, vacillating between full-on villain and anti-hero until, whenever the situation called for it. In 2010, he'd leave the show, primarily because of the actor's declining health.
Oh.
He would return during the finale and would appear sparingly in the revival, and sadly, David Canary would pass away at 2015 from complications of dementia.
Yeah.
And, that actually made my hurt water come out.
Yeah.
Because my stepfather's parents both died of dementia, so...
Wow. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, like his father, JR would vacillate between villain and anti-hero, leaning towards the former as the series progressed. His recurring battle with alcoholism and his health would be a primary focus of his storylines, which, as it concluded its original run, the aforementioned villainy would culminate with him shooting and killing his ex-wife in the finale of the original run.
Okay.
He'd appear in the revival series with his, recovery from a coma, his desire to connect with his son, his guilt over his past actions, and his tied back into addiction playing into it, but there was no resolution to this story. Kevin and Kelly would continue to be intertwined for the remainder of their time on One Life to Live. Kelly would undergo surgery to correct her infertility, while Spencer ended up getting sterilized. Kelly would end up having the child she desired, and it turned out was with Kevin's son Duke. Only for Duke to die during a tornado that hit Landview. The two would end up moving to London in 2006, returning for different events such as Asa's funeral. During that time, Kelly would return in 2010, revealing that she and Kevin had split, and they were still working on helping raise her son and his grandson Zane. She'd end up hooking up with his brother Joey, though. During that time. So that's how that story ended. Let's see. Hold on, let me see. There's Todd Manning. Another one. So the next stuff is... Oh, I'm sorry?
Is he dangerous?
Oh, this one is... There are moments where he could be ridiculously funny, but he's also a fairly dangerous character, yes. So, sort of explain his story, because he's kind of going to be the reason why all these characters end up in Port Charles.
Right.
So Todd Manning was introduced in the 90s. He was kind of meant to be like Luke was in the 70s.
Right.
A one-dimensional villain that would eventually get bumped off. but his performance ended up impressing the right people, so he ended up staying on the show for like a decade. So when 2003 rolled around, the actor decided to leave the show. And what ended up happening was they decided, okay, we don't want to get rid of Todd, so we'll just recast him. So they ended up introducing an act. So the original actor is a man named Roger Howarth, and the second actor to play Todd was Trevor St. John. Roger Howarth ended up going on to a show called As the World Turns, where he played the character of Paul Ryan, and he'd be on the show until its final episode. Well, some time after that show ended, he's asked to come back to One Life to Live. And so he says, okay, who do you want me to come in as? And they said, Todd Manning.
Wait, what?
And he goes, but is Trevor St. John playing Todd Manning? And they said, don't worry about it. So he comes back to the show, and it turns out that Todd's backstory was revealed little by little during his initial run on the show. He's the half-brother of Vicky Lord. And so what ended up happening is you find out that his mother, Irene, had twins. So that she ended up, so much like with Anna's mother, she brainwashed one because she worked for the government, because this is just what they do. And she switched them out, and she kept Todd in the facility while Victor Lord Jr. took over his life. So, as the show progresses, and all this stuff is revealed, Victor ends up getting shot and killed, and it's a big mystery. At the end of in one of the final episodes, the character of John McBain, who was a enemy of Trevor St. John's Todd, figured out that Todd shot him. Todd had seemingly shot and killed Victor. Now, as this is happening, Todd's daughter, Star, and is leaving town with her daughter, Hope, and her fiancé, Cole Thornhart, who is the son of Patrick Thornhart and Marty Saybrook, who Todd and Marty, their history is a very long and complicated web that makes me very uncomfortable sometimes. Because, basically, it's like the anti-Luke and Laura story, but the actors have really good chemistry. And you feel real uncomfortable watching the two of them, because like, oh, this could work.
Oh.
And you're like, oh, this could work. So, by the time that happens, Todd's been arrested. Cole, Star, and Hope are heading back from Los Angeles. They're going from Los Angeles back to Landview. And because of the weather, they end up having to drive through Port Charles.
Mm-hmm.
And so this begins with the next part of the story. This is him during his long hair phase. Oh god, the 90s.
Yep.
He looks like a vampire.
Kinda, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's more recent. That's Taya Delgado. That's one of his that's one of his other ex-wives. That's John McBain. Hold up. I'm trying to remember who that character is. I think that's Heather Weber. That's Mitch Lawrence. But he... Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. No, that's Allison Perkins.
Yeah, she looks up to no good there.
Oh, she's not. She's evil.
Okay.
He is basically his most devoted follower, because he was a cult leader.
A cult leader? Like Jim Jones sort of thing?
Mm-hmm. That's Sonny Corinthos. Okay. He's one of the major characters of Port Charles, and if he looks familiar to anyone who watched All My Children, Nico Kelly.
Right.
That guy's the gangster, right?
Mm-hmm. So So for like the last 5 years, he's been at war with this guy, Johnny Zakar. And if he looks familiar, that was one of the cops from Hill Street Blues.
Oh.
I can't remember his character's name.
So let me guess, is one of the mobsters more honorable and the
Mhm.
other is just bad? Yes.
Yeah, this dude's
So like, yes, okay.
Anthony's an absolute nutbag. So for like the last 7 years, the last 5 years at this stage, they've basically been off. The war's been off and on. You know, Anthony shot Sonny at one point. Sonny abducted his son Johnny because he thought that Anthony abducted his son. Anthony retaliates by trying to kill Sonny, and his son Michael ends up getting shot in the head. He ends up shooting Sonny's fiancée Connie on their wedding day.
Ooh.
Sonny's son Michael ends up killing Anthony's daughter Claudia in self-defense. Just a bunch of stuff goes crazy. I'm pretty sure Johnny manipulated Sonny into shooting one of his other children that he didn't know about. Anthony framed Michael's girlfriend for murder. It was just this insane thing. Now, as this is also happening, Sonny's best friend Jason Morgan and his wife Sam McCall are expecting their first child. And so there's a bunch of things going on with a character called Franco who's stalking Jason. And fun fact, he was actually played by James Franco.
There you go.
Initially.
Before he went off to do other stuff.
Yep. Well, no, actually, this was after Spider-Man.
Oh.
His mother was a fan of the show, so when they asked him, he said, yeah, sure, what the hell? My mom would love it.
That's why Raul Julia took the role in Street Fighter. His kids were fans, and he wanted to do it for his kids, and you got to respect that,
Yeah.
So the great movie villains,
right?
Bison. Well, another topic for another time.
Yeah. So Franco's presence is kind of looming over them because they think Franco might possibly be Jason's twin brother. It also may be the father of the baby. Whole creepy undertones there. So this story begins with attempted murder. Several attempted murders, actually. Sonny and Dante are shot at by a corrupt cop, and Sonny ends up getting winged. He thinks Anthony's ordered the attack, so he shows up at the Quartermain mansion where Anthony has blackmailed Tracy into marrying him. Tracy talks him down because she knows if Anthony dies, she's probably going to get exposed for whatever crime she's been committing. So Anthony, he totters off. Now, as this is happening, Cole, Star, and Hope are heading back to Landview by way of Port Charles for Todd's trial. They end up colliding with a car, which was being driven by Anthony because someone shot out his tires. As Star's asking him to help, he says, No, I gotta get away. Sonny Corinthos is trying to kill me. Dante and Michael are looking for their dad. They end up hearing Star's cries for help. They save her, but Cole and Hope are stuck in the car as it falls right off of the cliff. And then kaboom. This is the catalyst that brings Todd and John to town. Todd jumps bail, the latter chases after him. This leads into a scene where Sonny's being arraigned in the courthouse. Todd pulls a gun and is stopped by John, who reveals that him and Sonny have a history during John's time as an FBI agent. So, Star ends up staying in town, and, Sonny gets cleared of the charges, and so does Todd, as it turns out. He gets cleared of murder because he's like, no. He used his PTSD excuse again. Because he used it when he killed somebody else.
Huh.
Yeah. So, but it turns out Victor's actually still alive. So the point is moot. So John follows him to Port Charles. He ends up joining up with Anna Devane to try and bring down Sonny. Sonny gets cleared, and Star ends up, getting arrested for trying to kidnap and murder Sonny herself because she thinks he did what he did. But it turns out the mystery of who killed Cole and Hope is sort of hanging in the air. So this leads into the baby switch storyline. The initial the next baby switch storyline.
Oh.
Yeah, let's see. That's there's Sonny and Anthony, and there's Anthony, his son Johnny, and Claudia. Now, this is a fun fact. So Claudia was played by the original actress that played Carly, who's Sonny's on again, off again wife, and she's now played by a different actress. Hold on, let's see if there's Sonny and Sam and Jason. Those two were great. He ended up getting fired a couple years, like a decade or so later, because he didn't want to get the COVID shot.
Really?
Yeah. And then he got brought back when they were like, "Yeah, maybe we jumped the gun."
Well, because they knew he had a lawsuit, and a lot of people bringing lawsuits, and a lot of people winning those lawsuits.
So what ends up happening with the baby switch is this: Taya shows up during while Star is being charged for the aforementioned kidnapping and attempted murder. She's not happy to see Todd. He killed her husband and the father of her child, because she's pregnant with Victor's kid. Meanwhile, she doesn't show up to the hearing because she went into labor. Sam, meanwhile, is going into labor during a torrential downpour. I'm also noticing that pattern too. So then this brings back the character of Heather Weber, who was a recurring villain in the 80s. She finds the dead body of Anthony Zaccara. She thinks Tracy and Luke killed him, and she's obsessed with Luke, so she tries to get rid of the body, and she ends up helping Sam deliver her baby. Todd helps Taya deliver hers, realizes the baby's not breathing, and he tries to get help. He runs into Heather, who quickly realizes that the baby's dead. And then Taya ends up thinking Sam's baby is hers. So the babies are switched. Taya takes the baby back to Landview, names him Victor Lord III, while Jason and Sam are left grieving. Now, it's during this storyline Todd figures out who killed Cole and Hope. Although by this point, the audience already knows what happened. And so Heather Weber gets rid of Anthony Zacara's body the night the babies were switched. The reason the body was in the woods is because Johnny had finally snapped and shot his father dead. And before he killed Anthony, he revealed that he was the one who tried to kill him that night. So he shot the tires out. He caused the accident. Todd's about to expose the truth when Johnny says, "Okay, you're gonna expose me? I know what you did with Sam Morgan's baby."
Wow.
Because he was in the forest getting rid of the body that night. So then they were in a blackmail checkmate.
What is the obsession with the baby switching on these shows?
Yeah, it's easy drama.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, that's later. Oh, yeah. I'll get into that.
Oh, speaking of vampires, yeah.
Vampires.
Yeah.
Ominous Nocturna.
So, bunch of stuff happens that's sort of beyond the scope of the story. Todd and Sonny's ex-wife Carly, they get closer. Johnny ends up married to Sonny's ex Connie, who everyone thinks killed Cole and Hope. Michael and Star start a relationship. And then Jasper Jax's brother Jerry shows up in town with that exposes the city to a chemical weapon. AJ Quartermain's revealed to still be alive. Sonny's daughter Christina comes back and tries to start a reality show. And all these storylines involve, Star, Todd, or John to some extent. Well, the truth about the baby switch comes out in November when Jason ends up approaching John with the possibility that Sam's baby's still alive. And then Heather actually has a hold of the altered DNA test, and he gets a hold of it. And he ends up revealing that the baby is still alive. Now, there's a bunch of twists and turns. It ends with Heather stealing the baby again. But he's reunited with his parents and gets his real name, which is Daniel. named for Sam's adopted brother who died during the encephalitis storyline. Daniel Edward for Sam's brother and Jason's grandfather. Poor Taya, meanwhile, has to go back to Landview to start grieving again. Todd, meanwhile, foists all the blame onto Heather, who's notorious for being out of her mind. John is...
I think it goes with the name Heather, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and she was
I'm
played
just
by...
Heather's, right?
Yeah. She was played by Robin Matson. Janet from Another Planet.
Oh.
There you go.
So John, meanwhile, isn't convinced, but he lacks the evidence. Meanwhile, Todd and Carly finally start their relationship, and everything seems like things are going well. Until New Year's Day of 2013. There's a car accident, another car accident.
I think I have a picture of that. I think I have a picture of that accident. I could be wrong.
I'm not sure. But,
Oh, wait. Never mind. We're going too far. Never mind.
Yeah.
Forget it. Forget about the accident. Okay.
So Star's about to let Connie go off a cliff, but that's when Johnny enters the scene and says, Connie didn't kill Cole and Hope. I did. Now, with all of that off of him, he goes, oh, and by the way, your father knew the entire time and said nothing to save his own ass. That's because he's responsible for the baby switch too. So Todd ends up faking insanity, which is something he's really good at, and spends time in the local movie hatch with Heather. Now, a bunch of stuff happens, which I'll get to, but eventually Todd ends up escaping again, slipping the noose again, and by convincing one of Johnny's associates to lie about his culpability in the whole thing. So he ends up leaving town, realizing he's burned nearly every bridge, and he gets a call from his daughter, Danny, who needs his help. So he leaves and briefly comes back to bring Star back to LA because a bunch of stuff is happening there that requires her assistance, and I'll get to that in the Fates. So this would not be the last time. This would be the last time we see Todd Manning on in daytime, but it wouldn't be the last time we see Roger Howarth on General Hospital. But like I said, that's later. So as the New Year's beginning and Todd is locked up in the mental institution, Lucy Coe comes back to town. Now, Port Charles was interesting because the way it started out, the title was sort of ironic. Like how General Hospital now focuses on the drama of the people of Port Charles. Well, Port Charles was going to focus on the hospital.
Yeah, going back to that comment from deleted scenes. Remember when General Hospital used to be about doctors?
Yeah, and so that's how it all started. But eventually, it adopts this sort of American telenovela quality to it. Each is a book. Each episode is a chapter. And eventually, it changes in format and turns into Dark Shadows.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah, vampires, werewolves, doppelgangers, vampire hunters, fallen angels.
It worked for, Dark Shadows.
Mm-hmm.
Ghosts.
Okay, let's see. Oh wait, that's Cole and Hope and that's Cole and Star in a happier time. On One Life to Live, but
vampires.
So yeah. So against this backdrop, we're introduced to the character of Rafe Kovich and his soulmate Allison Barrington, as well as their vampire nemesis Caleb Morley. In the finale, Allison discovers she's pregnant and that Caleb was the father because she slept with him to save Rafe's life. And that cliffhanger goes unresolved for like a decade. And as time goes by, the resolution becomes less and less likely because it's been removed from the canon of General Hospital. So, since they now have the actors who play, since they now have the actor who played Caleb on the show, they decide, hey, you know what would be fun? So the character of Lucy Coe, who was a character introduced in the 80s and was a major character on Port Charles, was brought back to the show after a decade. And they start integrating the lore back into the series, and she was a vampire hunter during that time period. She sees John McBain, sees him interacting with Sam McCall. The actress who played Sam McCall, Kelly Monaco, played Livy Locke on the show, and Livy was her stepdaughter. So she thinks Caleb's and her are like, he's going near her, so she goes after John. She also confuses Duke Lavery with a character named Joshua Temple, because the actor who played Duke was on the show as that character. This leads to the return of her husband, Kevin Collins, who explains that his ex-wife is delusional. So she ends up in Ferncliff with Todd and Heather. Now, her theory is that Caleb is so powerful as a vampire, he can create this glamour that made everyone forget. So that's their explanation for why the show never gets mentioned.
So
Which I like.
It's like a superpower.
Mm-hmm. So as this is happening, Allison shows up. And she's got her son, Rafe, who's named after her now deceased husband. And just as they're talking, Allison gets stabbed with a silver-tipped arrow by Caleb. John shows up, sees Rafe standing over the body of his mother, thinks he did it. He says, no, you did it. And so everybody's got fingerprints on the weapon. John puts 2 and 2 together and thinks there's someone masquerading as him. So he's like, okay, we're going to figure out what happened. Now, Todd, Lucy, and Heather end up escaping Ferncliff during a power outage, and they end up running into Caleb. And then as Caleb realizes, hey, wait a minute, you're not Livy, you're someone else. This leads to him attacking Heather and trying to take Danny, while Todd is like, oh, no, I am not getting arrested again for this kid. You're not taking him. Caleb, meanwhile, murdered a source that was going to give John information. Everyone ends up getting arrested while Caleb gets away. So the truth about Caleb was he's actually a man named Stephen Clay, a musician with a vampiric stage alter ego, who went crazy when his wife died in a car accident. And he killed people, using scissors and prosthetic vampire fangs.
So he's not an actual vampire.
So they think.
Okay.
So, Sam's sister Molly ends up helping them escape. Sam and Danny get abducted by Caleb. During the fight, John, seemingly kills Caleb with the silver-tipped arrow. Rafe, John, and Lucy are hailed as heroes for stopping a dangerous killer, but Lucy wants closure, so she goes to the morgue, and she talks with the medical examiner. And she notices the ring that Caleb had was missing. Medical examiner says, I've got no idea what you're talking about. As Lucy and Anna depart, it turns out that Caleb had used the glamour to make it seem like he was dead, gets up off the slab, and just disappears into the night. Now, here's what happened. Next. The production company called Prospect Park owned the rights to One Life to Live and All My Children. I mentioned the revival a bunch of times with certain characters, and that meant ABC couldn't use them anytime in the future. So the actors had to leave the show and then come back as different people. And so, hold on, let me go through that. That's the scene with Sonny and Todd where they were the confrontation in the courtroom.
Courthouse.
Yep. There's Heather. Crazy
She's
lady.
a little wackadoo, right?
Yeah. There's Jason and Sam and little Danny.
Okay.
Funny enough, there's Carly and Todd, doing stuff. Now there's Lucy. That's Allison. I liked her. But yeah,
She's trouble.
she was the vampire hunter. She was actually married to the guy that played Roman on Days of Our Lives.
Oh.
In real life. Now there's Sam and John, and then there's Caleb trying to turn her into a vampire. So, yeah. Oh, Kevin Collins. That's the one character. I'll get to him. So Sonny, he's still on the show and remains an integral part of the main storylines of the series. Michael Corinthos, his son, adopted son, his actor ended up leaving the show in 2025 after playing a part on the show for over a decade. The character's been recast and is still a major player. Todd, as mentioned, would end up leaving the show, but Roger Howarth would end up returning during that same time as he was on One Life to Live in General Hospital simultaneously. He would end up playing the character of Franco, James Franco's character originally, where the truth would come out that he's actually the son of Scott Baldwin and Heather Weber. He ends up having a fairly popular romance with the character of Elizabeth Weber before his character was killed off in 2021. He was then came back again as the character of Austin Gatlin Holt, a Quartermain cousin, before exiting the show in 2024, ending his near 30-year affiliation with ABC. Star, let's see, Kevin, he's later in the series, but hold on. Yeah, so there's Todd. That's Danny. That's his. I'll get to Rafe in a second. Rafe Jr. I should say. Oh, that's one of Sonny's grandkids. That's another character. That's Christina.
That's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all right.
So,
There you go.
Star would leave Port Charles for the same reasons as Todd, ending her relationship with Michael over the phone. It's heavily implied that Cole and Hope had somehow survived and she was reunited with them in Los Angeles. While she wouldn't resurface on the revival of One Life to Live, Kristen Alderson, her actress, would take on the role of Kiki Jerome until 2015, where she decided to return to Pennsylvania, which is where she was originally from, most likely tied to her younger brother's cancer diagnosis. Though she'd continue her acting career, she's not been involved in daytime for more than a decade. And I will say this, if they brought her back, because they mentioned Erica Slezak's going to be on General Hospital,
right?
If they bring her back, it's going to be a lot less awkward because her and the actor that played Michael dated. So with him recast, it's not going to be as weird. Let's see. Okay, like Todd and Star, John would leave Port Charles, resurfacing in Llanview, where he'd remain until the revival's cancellation. Also, like Roger Howarth and Kristen Alderson, he'd return as Silas Clay, Caleb's brother. Older brother, actually. Or younger, I can't remember, but they looked exactly alike. And he'd stay until the character got killed off, and much like Roger Howarth, he'd take on the role of Hamilton Finn. He'd end up in a relationship with, he'd have romances with Hayden Barnes, Elizabeth Weber, and Anna Devane before he exited the show in 2024. Lucy still pops up on the show from time to time, but this was her last big storyline. She's usually shows up for the annual nurses' ball, but that's really all she does, though I think that's tied to her now late husband's battle with Alzheimer's. Sam would end up in a relationship with Jason's brother Drew, and gave birth to her second child before learning the identity of her biological father, Julian Jerome, remaining a prominent character on the show until Kelly Monaco's exit in 2024. I'm noticing that that's happening with a lot of actors.
Yeah.
Kevin Collins is a recurring character due to John Lindstrom's work on other shows, and he remains but he's still on the show to this day and is the current husband of Laura. They would reunite with Victor Jr. in the revival of One Life to Live, where she would reconnect with her and Todd's troublesome daughter, Danny, and come to grips with the loss of her child with Victor, and also then the loss of the child she had been raising for several months, and she'd remain on the show till the cancellation. Johnny Zaccaro would resurface briefly during the 2015-2016, gaining control of the Zaccaro crime family and trying to win back his former girlfriend from the character of Dante. Needless to say, it doesn't work out, and he ends up going back to prison. The actor Brandon Barash, meanwhile, would resurface on daytime 3 years later as Stephen and Jake DeMiro on Days of Our Lives, which, incidentally, the character of Stephen was originally played by Tyler Christopher, who played Nicholas Cassadine on General Hospital, who was the half-brother of his ex, of Johnny's ex. And he'd be on the show until 2024, but his story was open-ended enough where he could come back anytime he wants. Anthony Zaccaro is yet to reappear, and considering that his son and daughter are no longer on the show, he has no reason to, unless Sonny comes face-to-face with his past, and which wouldn't be a bad one-off episode. I don't know about the actor's health. He's in his 80s, but hey, you never know. Rafe Jr. would end up in the custody of his uncle Silas and would meet his cousin Kiki before, but his time on the show would be very brief. He had an unreciprocated crush on Sam's sister Molly, and he'd be jealous over TJ, which then ends up in a car. He ends up being manipulated into causing a car accident that ends up killing someone, and he ends up developing a cocaine habit.
Seems to be a trend.
Yeah, he ends up dying. He ends up dying from the results of a car accident, and he hasn't really been mentioned since. Caleb has not been seen since his exit, and that's the and that I think is the end of the crossovers.
There you go. Wow. There you go.
So what have we learned?
Well, the one thing
we have learned. In my opinion, we have learned, and I kind of knew this going into it, that the complicated canon and chronologies and interrelation of these stories are every bit as complicated, maybe more so, than the franchises that we've been loving for years. Star Trek, Star Wars, Marvel, DC... and that's even assuming that you take into account the comics and all the extraneous stuff. So I would argue that those of you that refer to people that are not into the sci-fi, superhero, and all that kind of stuff as normies, that's kind of not fair, because this is some pretty complicated stuff. So there's always more room in your head. What there's also more room for is, let's take a look at where we're at with the goal for tonight. Deleted Scenes absolutely is trying desperately to make sure that we get a karaoke stream in August. We are
you actually got 11.
25 minutes away. I'm showing 11 super chats, but if I'm generous, I could go by dollar values, since it didn't allow me to create a dollar value figure.
We're at 28.
Pardon me?
28, if I had it right.
28
no,
or 29 12. With deleted scenes.
So one more dollar. What?
Well, we also had that membership.
Wait,
if you want to count that.
Deleted Scenes dropped something again.
Yeah. So let me recount.
Plus we have the membership too.
Oh my gosh, I can't keep up. So we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
17. Go to Age Boomers.
17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23,
28,
28, 29, 30. So that would be $30.
A membership.
And a membership from returning membership from Darth Plato. If I was to count all of those as dollar values, I could justify an August karaoke stream. And I also think that with all of those with all those dollar values, I think we're going to have to justify bringing Deleted Scenes back as co-host. So this is what happens, Deleted. You were so committed. You've just been drafted to be co-host at some point in August for another karaoke stream. Just saying. And with that, I think we're going to go ahead and wind down our stream for the night. Thank you so much, Sir Torrhen Clegane.
Does he have any final thoughts, though, Sir Torrhen? About...
Yeah.
Well,
what do you want to say in summation? Yeah.
In summation, well, I think it's always, as far as crossovers go, and it was one of the original appeals of something like the MCU. It's that one of the great things about crossovers is that you see characters who normally wouldn't interact actually interact. The essence of it, it's that it also can create, it can open up avenues for, in terms of story, relationship, friendship, etc.
There you go. That's fair. So just going to go, because we've already done the promos for the night. We're going to just say tomorrow night over on Big Al Presents Films with Friends, Flight of the Navigator. All the things that Deleted Scenes is doing, you can go back and check his coming attractions. And then Sunday, me and this guy here taking you through all the celebrity deaths this week and all the news. This is a hard one
this week.
Yep. And all the news, which is also pretty hard, to be honest with you.
There's some interesting things, though. There's a Wednesday Addams themed Wendy's meal we'll talk about on Sunday.
Oh, I must.
Okay. It's a new one I sent you right before the stream. Okay.
Okay, fair enough. And with that, well, Boomer, did you have any last thoughts?
No, I mean, like I said, the world of soaps is interesting. My sister watches them, so she'll show me clips sometime. Like the possessed woman who kept showing up, she would show me clips. And,
yes, you did like that.
Yeah, she knows all about this stuff. Yeah, she's.
And Sir Torrhen, any last thoughts on your end?
No. Thank you for having me.
Well,
absolutely,
thank you
so much
for giving us this presentation, all that. Thank you.
And Netter, last thoughts before we end?
You guys, Osmo, and now, because you met Troy's Gold, you're going to be subjected to me singing.
Her singing, me singing, Deleted singing, and maybe some more Aged Boomers. So,
well, I'll find another Johnny Cash song.
There you go.
Yeah.
And any of you guys in the chat that want to come out and sing,
yes, please come and sing.
Please join us.
And don't worry about I don't think I'm going to sound good. We don't care. The whole
point of karaoke
is to have fun.
The fact is, don't matter if it's not good enough for anyone else to hear. Just sing a song. And with that, we'll close out with a different song. Take care, everyone. We'll see you on the next one. We don't get closing credits tonight. We're just gonna end the stream. It's a late one anyway, so that's fine.
All right, cool.
We're just gonna take ourselves out. I have 100+ song playlist, so I'm covered. Yeah. Yep. That's why I just keep the rotation, and then at the end of the night, we're at the end of the night. So guys, thank you so much. We'll
make it up to you.
We'll make it up to you next time. You guys take care. We'll see you on the next one. Have a good one. End the broadcast.